I'm like super scared every time I change the pricing.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, we're going to lose the business. It's over. We're dead.
100%. This is what we've been feeling for the last couple of months. But it feels like I'm holding my breath. It's like, it's either going to like go and like, we're going to succeed and hit all our goals, or it's just going to flop.
Hey bootstrappers, welcome to Bootstrap Stories, the podcast where founders, marketers, and thoughtful leaders share the most actionable tips on building a successful business. After meeting with hundreds of bootstrappers in the past years, I figured out that we all struggle to grow our businesses. But the truth is that most of us don't know where to ask for help or advice. That's why I decided to start this podcast, to give you all the keys to succeed at every stage of your business. All the tested strategies for solving your struggles and taking your business to a new level. No fluff, no bullshit, only a real talk between friends that help each other succeed.
Today, my guest for this episode is Sarah Hum, the founder of Canny. Sarah, welcome to Bootstrap Stories.
Hi, Jay. Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited. Like, as I was mentioning, like before we get started, I saw, like your tweet and the story, and I was like, okay, we have to have her on the show. So before we dive into like your story and everything, can you give and our audience like a bit more overview of what Canny does? When did you start it? How big is the company now?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, like, thank you for having me. I really appreciate that. I mean, bootstrapping is not easy. So just meeting anybody else, like doing the same thing, I feel like we know. So I'm Sarah. By origins, I'm actually a product designer.
Nice.
So I worked, the usual 9 to 5 before starting Canny. And we started Canny, we launched in 2017, and we are now a team of 11, still a small team.
That's cool.
And I think last month we broke 2.5 million ARR. So
nice.
Yeah, just cruising along, having a good time. Just to tell you a little about Canny. Canny is primarily a product feedback tool, but our main goal is to help product teams make good decisions, like build the best product that they can. Canny's customers are mostly software companies, and really it helps them collect the feedback, but also make sense of it to inform what they work on.
No, that's really cool. And I think I love the way you shape the team, like 11 people being like super revenue efficient. I actually think that we should celebrate more, like the revenue per employees and the fundraised or something like that.
Yeah. No, I love keeping the team small, and it's kind of cheesy. Like people always say, their team feels like a family, but it really does because of how small we are, and we know very much about each other, and like we know each other outside of work. So I love that.
And what was like your strategy in the early days? Like, was it like your intention from the start, like keep the team as small as possible, or at the beginning you were like, okay, let's do something with hundreds of people?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me anyway, and to be clear, I'm one of the co-founders. Andrew is my other co-founder. And I think me personally, very heavily, I was very much into the bootstrapping world, really wanted to own everything that we do, and so coming from Silicon Valley, especially, both Andrew and I, we worked at Facebook for about 1.5 years each, and know that world, know the world where there's tens of thousands of employees. We see people in Silicon Valley, raising money left and right, even before they have a product. And that just kind of blows my mind a little bit. I think with bootstrapping, it's very much, you have to make money in order to survive. You have to, and that really shows that you're building a product of value. So that was really important for me anyway. But yeah, as I said, I'm a product designer and Andrew is a software engineer. So it was very much us being product founders, just really wanting to build a cool tool. As product people, we always are looking at other products and we're like, this could be better, that could be better. And so, we're looking for a way for people to take our feedback as their users. And there wasn't really a good way of doing that. And so Canny eventually became what was our solution to that, really help teams not create this black hole where feedback just goes and dies, so.
And do you use Canny at Canny?
Of course, 100%. And in a lot of ways,
yeah, I love it.
what we decide to build is because we want it,
Yeah.
which is what I love, right? Like this would really help us prioritize. It must help other people. So I love that part of it.
And yeah, I understand. Using your own tool is like the best way to build it and grow it as well.
Exactly.
And I'm quite curious because you mentioned that Andrew, your co-founder, is like on the tech side, you're on the product side. So like getting started, you who's in charge of the business? Like who did marketing, who did sales? How did you acquire the first customer?
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely like marketing. The sales side was definitely a weakness. I think we definitely leaned heavily into the marketing side versus the sales side. We started right away. We started blogging. We're not writers, but we can write, and we can tell stories. And that's really what we did is, we did 4 pricing changes in our first year. Let's write about that. Let's just tell people what happened, so it's not like we're giving people advice. This is how you should do something, but this is what happened to us and what we learned from that experience. You can't really say, okay, I disagree with you. It's my journey. You can't really disagree with what happened to me. And so that was really a nice way to build our brand and show, hey, we're doing something. Check it out. We might have some learning lessons to send to you. But yeah, we knew it was going to be important. Marketing, like, come build it and they will come, that thing just doesn't exist. So it was very much like, how can we market in the way that we know how, which was very limiting.
And the first users of Canny, like how did you got started? And
I mean, Canny itself, and this is going kind of deep into the past, but was kind of an offshoot of an older tool that we built called Product Pains, which was a community where anybody could give feedback about anything.
Okay.
So think about giving feedback to like Uber or Yelp or, a lot of those consumer products. And eventually some people started looking at it saying, hey, maybe I can use this for my product. Which is where we were like, okay, that makes sense. Let's flip it into a SaaS tool, not this weird like consumer community thing.
The complaint
people
center.
are actually going to get exactly. Like come here and it's called Product Pains, first of all, which was like, give me some feedback on Product Pains, which is like very just cringy. So we flipped it around, rebranded to Canny. A lot of people from there ended up being our first SaaS customers. So that was really nice. Andrew worked on the React Native team at Facebook, and they were like, hey, maybe we can use Canny. And so we're like, by all means, and Canny to this day gives free subscriptions to these open source like libraries, things that enable other developers. So that is amazing. And they were able to expose Canny to more people. And so that was really nice. It's something that we still rely on today is like people who use Canny show Canny to their customers. And their customers now know about Canny and they're like, well, maybe we should use this for our tool. And so that's like free marketing for us, really, which is really nice.
So do you have like a bit like intercom, like a backlink directly? Like
exactly.
Okay. And is this backlink? Because I was talking with Marta from Flowdesk. So it's like a kind of newsletter tool where they also have like this link in order like to refer like a bit like it was, with Hotmail back in the day, like send with Hotmail or like something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And on their hand, what she's decided to do is that each person signing up, actually each person is an affiliate. So each of the customers is an affiliate. So every time they send, so they give money back or something. Is it something you do, or is it just like a backlink that you get?
No, it's nothing like sophisticated like that. It's really just like, it's powered by Canny. It's in small text, but people who want to find out what the tool is, they will figure it out, Yeah. And so that's all it is. You click it. It goes to like a specific landing page.
Nice.
That's dedicated to it, but nothing fancy.
Nah, that's cool. That's really cool. And you were mentioning that word of mouth was, like the good, like the big source of revenue and new customers.
Yeah, totally.
And is there like any other channels that you kind of like developed over time? You were mentioning like marketing and content, but can you maybe like dig in a bit more?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, those are the main things I would say. It was the blog, just getting our brand. I think that has carried us for a long way. So it's something that we start very early. And I would recommend any like new founders to do so. Is like, just start writing anything, even if you don't think it's like a thought piece, it's like, just just get your name out there, publish it. We put it on Hacker News. We get a couple of times we hit the front page and got, a lot of eyeballs based on that. But yes, from there, like the organic channel powered by Canny, that's super, super helpful. I think just building the right integrations, building the right features, like all of that stuff it just gets people stuck on the product. And the more they can do that, the more they will push us as a feedback tool, and the more they will use us, it just keeps the thing spinning,
Yeah, the flywheel.
Yeah, exactly.
And what has been like, or what is currently like the biggest challenge for you? Like,
yeah, I mean, whenever I think about challenges, it's not really ever something about Canny the product itself. It's very much like one of our other big weaknesses is we are also first-time managers, and that is, it totally depends on who you're managing too.
Yeah.
Right. And people want to be managed in different ways. People take feedback in different ways. And so just really learning how to be managers and having hard conversations, stuff like that, like making sure the team is happy and fulfilled. Like that's like the meat and the stuff that's in my brain all the time. And it's not clear, if there's a feature, I'm like, oh yeah, this is how we do it. When it's people, who knows?
We never know. So how did you like learn or train, or what's like the things you've done that seems to have worked?
Yeah, I think the big jump in my mind is going from having output that is tangible, like here's the design that I did this week, to something that's very not tangible. You're giving feedback to people, you're helping unblock them. At the end of the day, you're not like, here's what I did, so it's really very much, I think, relying on feedback from others to reassure me that they're happy or they have what they need, stuff like that. And it's very loosey-goosey and fluffy, which is hard for me. I'm very much used to the solids, like I can see it right in front of my eyes. Whereas management is so fluffy. I don't know if you feel the same.
No, I 100% feel you. I think it's what's very difficult, as you said, it's like it really depends on the person you're managing. And I think, like, to me, management is easy when you nail HR. But to nail HR, you need to do like tons of mistakes. So most of the time, it's like your management is going to be hard. It means that you just didn't hire the right person, to be honest, because, like down the line, you know where you want to lead, you know what you want to do, but and it's tough, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those, like when I say hard conversations, like a lot of it's that, like sometimes, we make the wrong hire and the whole, hire slow, fire fast thing. I see it, it's just like, if you linger too long, it affects everyone else. And that's definitely not something you want to do, right? Especially at our size. And so it's like, it's a hard conversation, but you need to have it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think like, but as time goes, I think like in any case, with HR, what I told myself, like maybe to make it easier, but it's just like down the line, like the person feels it too, like if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. It's and it's easy to say like it's not you, it's me, and it's or it's us as a company, like it's, I don't feel it's a good like fit anymore, and then it's also part of life.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, for me, I feel like if we're having that conversation about letting you go, you shouldn't be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like totally shocked, right? Like we should have had conversations before to work to see if there's, something we can change or, an issue, miscommunication, whatever it is. But then, if it ends up being that decision where, we need to move on, they shouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so far, like, how is the team split? Like, what are the departments or number of people in each team?
Yeah. So it's primarily product people. We have 4 engineers.
Okay.
We have 2 in marketing, 1 in sales, 1 in support, 1 in success. And I mean, I think we'll always be a product-led team. Like that's what we as the founders know, and that's where we think, a lot of things branch off of. But I think it's like we hire people to be owners in their areas, and that's another challenge is like delegation and really trusting the people that we hire. I think that's hard, right? Like for me, I'm just like, I need to see everything. But like, what's the point of bringing on these like really smart people if you're not gonna, give them the space to breathe and the authority to do things? So yeah,
I think it's a challenge, and at the same time, like there were I don't remember the last name, the guy's name, Jerry, the guy who wrote like Seinfeld.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that guy basically said like that, like Seinfeld was Seinfeld because he was a micromanager. He's like, I was editing everything, like every single copy, and he was saying like this is why it was successful. So sometimes, I'm like, because there is this famous saying, like which states like you need to hire like smarter people than you are, etc. And sometimes, you're like, it's tough. I mean, because smarter people are usually like business owners who are like at a whole new stage, etc., etc. And you're not gonna hire them. So I think like I think it really depends on the profile, as you said. But to me, micromanagement on like more junior profile is not such like an issue. And I think micromanagement, I think, is an issue if you're doing it like after the onboarding period. But if it's just like, like for like a few months just to help leveling up people, it makes sense. Why? Like I see you laughing. So I know like...
I think it's just, again, it's something where it depends on the person.
Yeah,
and I
that's
think,
true.
like we try to hire experts in like maybe specific areas and not, I'm an expert at everything. It's very much like, I know, paid advertisement or, whatnot.
Yeah.
And so in those areas, we should be able to rely on those people. Yeah. They should be better than me at paid advertisement because I know nothing about it. And so I should be okay with letting them have that. Yeah. Even though, they're handling our money and whatever, it's very like touchy. Like,
I think this is a problem.
Like, look at the metrics. I think that's a big thing that we're now transitioning and learning more about. Is like, if you have metrics in place, that keeps people accountable. But
then there is always this question like, how exactly are tracked the metrics? What is your tracking system?
Never ending problem. Yeah.
No, but I agree with you. I think like actually for ads, I think it's a very like, I'm in the same spot as you. Like I've never run ads, like we're trying to hire someone in ads, etc. But the truth is like, if you don't have like what I did actually for ads, and I kind of liked it, is like, I had someone from my team who I could like really, really trust, like 100%, someone who doesn't need to be micromanaged, etc. And then I took like a outside coach on the specific, so to train them to do ads. Yeah. And I think for me, I think this is maybe like on, whenever there are like areas where you might spend a lot and, like invest heavily. I think it's smart to have like potentially like either like the best agency or someone who has been really recommended as a freelancers. Yeah. And then you tell him, okay, like I've got this person in my team, is an A player, super smart. Can I pay you like a daily, like premium price? And instead of just setting up our ads, you train that person.
Right. No, that's really cool, right? Because then you have someone you trust and someone who knows your business already. Yeah. So they have a lot more context than, an agency would, but teaching them just like the hard skills. I think that's really smart. And that's something that we're kind of doing as well, like specifically for ads. Like we have, one of our marketers who was more, broad, and she was doing content with us early on, but has shown an interest in ads. So we're like, learn. Sure, like you go for it, like I don't want to just bring someone in just because they know ads. And when you're showing all this passion for it, like absolutely learn it. Yeah.
And what's like the hiring plan for this year? I'm curious, like how do you hire? Is it do you only hire when it hurts? Like what's the process?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing, like, but not on purpose almost. It's like we just like hiring takes so much time. Like it takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of time from everyone else on the team who is on the loop doing the interviews. And so we kind of go through phases, depending on how busy we are. Like in the last couple months, we were working on a big pricing change. And so that took a lot of our brain and daily energy. But before that, we were, like, let's bring on more people because we know we need it. Yeah. And so we're probably going to start another phase soon, but I think we look at the areas where we're hurting I think engineering is maybe a little bit of an outlier because we just always have an open rule for it.
Yeah.
If we see someone who's legit, we're like, yes. Just like, even if we don't need it right now, like they're so rare. I feel.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just like open rule forever.
That's funny. We have the same mindset with engineers. It's like
yeah, it's hard. And so with every other role, it's like, where are we hurting the most? Where should we put our hiring energy to? And then we'll do it that way. When it comes to the actual interviews, it's very much about the fit. Like, yes, bottom line, like you need the skills and you need to convince us that you're good at your job. But a big part of it is talk to the rest of the team, have some like just hangout type interviews where we just see if you're a good fit. Because very much we're the gatekeepers of our culture here, right?
Yeah.
And so if we let that go, it's like, what even matters?
Yeah.
So that's super important.
Yeah, and I think like the part of hiring is just like really tricky in the end. Like I agree with you about the fit. I think that's the most important because the skills can always be learned, but you won't change someone's mindset. Because you mentioned like several times, so I must ask, because you said like you changed your pricing like 4 years in the first year, and right now you just said like we went onto some like really big project about like pricing change.
It's on the mind.
I'm like. Come on, are you like changing your pricing again? Like what's your strategy? Actually, I'm super curious because usually founders, or at least me, I'm like super scared every time I change the pricing. I'm like sweating. I'm like, oh my God, like we're going to lose the business. It's over. We're dead.
100%. This is what we've been feeling for the last couple of months. We launched new pricing a couple of weeks ago now.
Okay.
And it's not official. Like we're still in the transition period. We want to give some people time to make their decision. But it feels like I'm holding my breath. It's like it's either gonna like go and like we're gonna succeed and hit all our goals, or it's just gonna flop. And it's like, what is it? Like, what's happening? We didn't do pricing right, I would say. Like maybe this is like an opportunity for people to learn from the mistakes we've made. But the first year in business, we did 4 pricing changes. And that was when it was just me and Andrew still. We were just iterating, right? Like iterate quick. We barely have any customers, so it doesn't affect many people at all. It doesn't matter. Just change it. I remember on our 3rd or 4th pricing change, we literally decided what to change and then changed it in a day. And the most recent change took us like 2 months. Wow. It's just affecting so many more people that we just needed to make sure things were right. And we still didn't do everything right.
So whenever you're changing pricing, you don't grandfather your existing users. You just change pricing for everyone, or how does it work?
I think this is like commonly debated. But in our first year, I'm pretty sure we grandfathered most people. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure we did. I mean, it feels so long ago now, but yeah, I think we grandfathered people. This most recent time, instead of doing the grandfathering, we did for existing customers, you get 25% off for the next 6 months. And so you get a little bit of a bonus for being an existing customer, but you're not grandfathered forever, and I think like the advice is different, but I just feel like our team is consistently shipping new stuff. Yeah, and they should be rewarded for it. Yeah, in order to support ongoing development of a tool that you like pay them more money, And I think it was hard because we pretty much doubled our prices, and so nice. Everyone's like, it wasn't everyone, but it felt like a lot of people were like, whoa, what are you doing? This is outrageous. But if you zoom out a little bit, we haven't changed pricing in like 4 years. And we've improved the product significantly. Not that they care, right? This is more like on our side. It's like, this is our first change in 4 years. They don't care. They just care about what their bill is.
So now you just doubled price. Is that correct? So, like the new one, like right now that's out is a 2x.
The current one is 2x. But, if we had done it maybe more properly, we would have done, $50 increase, $100 increase, more incremental. And then maybe the response wouldn't have been as bad. But honestly, back then we had no time. I felt we had no time to make these changes. And so it's just like, let's just rip the Band-Aid. Let's just do a big change. And For the first week, it felt like things were exploding and we were going to die.
Okay.
But really, if you zoom out and actually take a look at the numbers, we're fine.
Nice.
It just felt like it because support was like on fire, but it's not that bad.
So how exactly? Because I think it could be like really beneficial for our like audience. Like when you have a price change, how exactly do you operate it? Like, is it an email sent 2 weeks in advance, then a week? And do you actually have people to opt in on the new change, or is it like automatic and you believe that they have read the email? That's fine.
Yeah. So I'm not saying this is right, but basically what we did is gave a month notice. A lot of people complained about that and said that was not long enough.
Well,
I feel like if we gave 2 months, they would still say the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
no, a month to me is like, largely.
Like you can give yourself some time to figure out, do you want to transition off the tool? Do you want to upgrade? Do you want to downgrade? Whatever. Something I didn't mention is, yes, we double pricing, but we also introduced a free plan.
Okay.
The first time that Canny has ever been free. I think our messaging was a little off. Like people just saw the $400 price and that's why they freaked out a lot. But we're like, okay, hold on. I think you qualify for the free plan. And then they're like, oh, all is well.
Well, actually, I like you. You just got a 5-star review.
I know. It's very confusing. But yeah, logistically, we did 1 month notice. And then we had, I think it went out yesterday. We had a 2-week notice. Just a reminder, this is happening in 2 weeks. I think we have another one. I think we have 2 more, 3 days in advance and then day of. So I feel like that's good. It's happening right now. So I don't really have all the feedback, but I feel like if I think about it myself and I have, one of our vendors is increasing their prices, a month is reasonable. Give me a couple of reminders. I feel like that's good to go. Yeah. We'll see.
No,
but in terms of how it actually works in the product, really, when they go in the product, it says, if you don't do anything, this is what will happen based on their usage, based on, what plan they qualify for. If you want to move to a different option, here's what you have to do. Okay. So there's a default path, and that makes it easy because if nobody does anything, whatever happens. Otherwise, they have options. And I think that's one of the core things is people need to know that they have other options and ways out. Yeah. So I think as long as you do that, and I think the grandfathering question is totally different. Like people can grandfather, but I feel like you're leaving a lot of money on the table depending on how far along I guess you are in your business. Now
you're making me rethink like our strategy when we increase price because we grandfathered, and I think it's a legit point like you're making because in my opinion, like you have 2 ways of seeing it. It's like, as you said, I do believe that you need to reward like the technical team, like they're working their asses off, like the product is evolving, people get more value out of it. So it makes sense. But then on the other hand, you can say like, yeah, but this guy was there early and they were also supporting the growth, etc., etc. But again, I think even though we grandfathered like people when we change pricing, I do feel like I'm much more on the same page as you because again, like if you are supporting a tool and if you want that tool to become even better, you have to pay more because you're a bootstrap business. Like money doesn't come from the sky. Like it comes from the customers. So if they like the product, if they see the value and if they are ready to pay for it, they should. And I think it's a smart move. Yeah.
And I think we kind of took a middle ground, right? Like we're not grandfathering and we're not forcing you up to the new plan, but we're giving you like, a discount that's time capped, so you feel like you get something, but it's, you do have to support development. And I think the alternative option is like, let's say, you were buying the tool and you got no updates. Is that something you want? Don't you want all the new features? Yeah. I think you can look at it that way too. Yeah,
that's true. Back in the days, they were like this
versions
every year versions and everything.
Like SaaS, like we give you everything. Literally, if you look at Canny from 2018 to now, like crazily different product.
Yeah, no, but I agree.
Not free.
I agree. And how do you come up with the 2x whenever you're how exactly? Because it seemed that you spent a lot of time on pricing. So do you like check competitors? Do you see like perceived value? Like what do you do? Like how do you place yourself?
I think this for us was just, oh, it's a feeling. You know, like we have customers already paying around this price. We have business customers, so we have that to compare to. Business customers are basically like custom price plan, and so we have that as a data point. But we didn't do crazy surveys. We didn't do like deep investigation. You know, we could have at the very beginning. We considered bringing on like pricing consultants, and it just felt maybe a little bit overkill, you know, let's just like in the spirit of Canny, let's just like
let's do
make a decision, do it next day, whatever, ship it, you know.
Did you just like roll the dice and then
basically no it was like a gut feeling, right? It's just like, okay, you know, worst case we change it. Worst case, if we just want to change the number, that's not hard, we can change it down, not a big deal. I think for us, I don't know if this was a mistake or not, but we changed a lot of like the packaging too. So, you know, before we were charging based on, you know, people who gave feedback. Now it's kind of charged by admins. So I think it was a lot for people to wrap their head around, which totally makes sense. And maybe we could have delivered that information differently, but can't take it back.
It's too late.
It's out. But it's learning for next time.
Awesome. So I'll look forward reading your articles about
yes, I'm definitely going to write about this because
how we doubled our price and I need to know what's coming next.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll see.
And what was for you like would you say like the mistakes you've made in the last like 4 or 5 years, or things that you would do differently?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the product, like, sure, you make little mistakes here and there, but they're not like, there's nothing devastating. It all comes back to the people. Like
that's because you're in charge. That's because you're in charge of the product.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like I feel like, I mean, we're hiring for design right now, and that's crazy for me because that's like basically replacing my expertise. But I think it's important. And I think it's important to have someone's full brain on design. Whereas right now I don't know, 20% of my brain is on design. But sorry, to your question, I think the biggest things were going back to hiring, like just like who is the right fit? Are these people good for the skills that we need, but also the culture that we want to build down the line? And having those hard conversations. Yes, it's hard to fire someone, but at the end of the day, when it's done, it feels like
there is a weight that's removed.
Oh my God. It's like we made the right choice.
Yeah.
And so if you even feel like you're hesitating, like, I don't know if this is right, like that's probably a no. Like, let's be real. It's probably, and I've probably made this mistake several times, is like, I feel like, oh, you know, we just need to do this and it'll all be fine. Usually not.
Usually I was wrong.
usually you were right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And so like, I think it's trusting your gut a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think like there is, I don't remember who said that, but it's like people don't like data, they like gut. I think someone was saying that, and I 100% agree, because in the end we can collect so much data about a lot of things, like measuring OKRs, etc. But in the end, like building a business is a lot about like your guts, because your team, your people, how you're growing and everything, it's changing price, what multiple to use. It's all about the guts.
Exactly. And I mean, I think like for us too, like as bootstrappers, since we are our own bosses, like if you make a mistake, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like just go back and fix it, you know, and that's a learning lesson for later. Like you're not reporting your members to anybody else other than yourself. So that's one of the really nice things, is we can feel free to make mistakes and not feel like it's the end of the world, you know, and like the team is behind you no matter what.
And it's funny that you're saying that, but I can definitely tell that, you know, you've been building Canny for now like some years, because in the early days for me, I right now I feel exactly the same as you know, like I can be like, you know, we make mistakes, it's chilled, like we're our own boss, etc. But in the early days when you're not paying yourself yet, it's like every mistake is like, I'm gonna die, this is the end, like it's over.
I think we got lucky because we are first time founders. You know, it's not like we've tried, you know, several times and this is what worked. I think we got really lucky. We got, Andrew worked for React Native. We got that, like, just people reading our blog. Like, it just feels a lot of it was luck. And I'm just like, please just keep working, And at what point, do we say, oh, maybe this isn't working? Like, we never had to experience that really. Like, we're just really, really freaking lucky. And I think it's hard to replicate, but I think just being really self-aware and just, I don't know, checking in with yourself and seeing if you're happy and if you feel like in your gut that things are going in the right direction. Like, it's all we can rely on, really.
Yeah, I 100% align with that. And during like Canny's lifetime, like have you seen, was the growth always the same, or did you hit plateau at some point, or like slower growth, or do you see seasonality? Like, how do you react to like these changes? Because the hockey stick, it's super nice, like but we all have like, when you zoom out, it can be a hockey stick, but month over month, sometimes we have like a shitstorm. So
yeah. I mean, I think seasonality is like one thing, and I feel like that's kind of there for everyone. Is people aren't buying software and I don't know, Christmas, and that's expected. But yeah, I wouldn't say like we do not have hockey stick growth, and I am totally fine with that as long as we continue to build a profitable, like, growing business. Like, we've never dipped in a month. We've never gone negative.
Up and to the right. It's
as long as it's up and to the right, like, that's great. And I feel like when it comes to like plateaus and you feel like, oh, you need to change things up, like, that's exactly kind of what we do with pricing, is like, we need to throw something in here. We've done the same pricing and the same packaging for years. What if we did XYZ and give it a try. And so I think it's not only, exciting from a business perspective, but also for the team, and to get the team like rallying around something and say like, this is cool. This could really, make a big difference. Let's like, rally together and work on it and ship it. So I think if you're bored, like, try something new, like build a side project, like, make a video, do something dumb, and even though it's not maybe what would be the most revenue driving, like, it's important to your own happiness and your own, motivation day to day. So
yeah, I agree. You have to test like new things and try to implement them, test and fail and learn. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Even if, like, especially if you don't feel comfortable in it, I think that's when it gets exciting, right? Like, for us, at the very beginning, when we didn't do any marketing, it was like, ooh, we're making like, it feels, since it's not our expertise, like, everything is a win, and so it's exciting. And I feel like we should try to replicate that feeling, even though, we're many more years down the line. Yeah, it's still very much there.
That's the spirit. I think if you can keep exactly like the same spirit as you're growing, it's like the best. And I mean, you are like the pro of getting feedback on your product. So I think like, I'd love to know, like, what are your tips, like, for someone, who's building a SaaS? Like, how do we get product feedback? Like, what's the best way, like, to kind of like prioritize, ask questions, like?
Yeah. I mean, we use Canny ourselves, like, as I said, like, feedback is important. And like, yes, you can collect that as a spreadsheet, whatever, from the early days, by all means, like, do whatever you need to do to start and like build that into your culture, right? Is you don't just build things like off the whim. You need to really listen to the people who are actually giving you money. I think that's the big thing, especially in SaaS. It's like, what are the people who are actually paying you? What do they want? Because if they're paying you, you're clearly solving a problem. Like, that's the nice thing, is money to translate directly into, I'm getting value out of this. I'm going to pay for this problem to be solved. So that's nice. But then feedback is hard to navigate. There's so much of it. What do you take seriously? What do you do with it? And so I think when people look at Canny, especially, they're like, this has the most votes. Like, why are you not building it? And it's like, votes is like almost the smallest signal. It is signal, but it's almost like one of the smaller ones. We look a lot at, how much MRR is this impacting? What is the opportunity revenue from this feature? Like, who is giving this feedback, not just how many people. And so there's a lot of that. And I think at the end of the day, we just prioritize and have a list of things to work on. And even then, it's not set in stone. Like, we just did our Q2 roadmap, and, we have a list, and our engineers pretty much look at the list and they're like, I'm going to work on XYZ. And a lot of it is, what do they actually feel would be fun to work on. Even if it's not the top of the list. Like for example, one of our top requested integrations is Azure DevOps, which sounds like even like not even from an engineering perspective, like one of the least fun integrations to build. And so even though, it's highly requested and people probably would pay for it, like,
do we really want to do this?
Yeah, like it doesn't sound fun at all. I think we're just going to leave it there until it really like gains a lot of traction. But it's not always about revenue. Team happiness is super important. Like, what do our engineers want to improve on, right? Like our engineers, for example, one of them wants to work on more backend projects. So yeah, by all means, like pick an integration or something on the list, even if it's not number one. Not a big deal. Like we'll get to the most important stuff at the end of the day eventually anyway. So
yeah, I really like this this mindset, and I do feel like it's also because you come from the product that you have like because what you mentioned about like team happiness, etc. Like that's something people like don't always like realize that like not all features are equal. Like the dev work is not the same. It's not as fun. Like some stuff are like a pain. Like I think if you ask like developers to do again like integrations and things like that, or these type of things usually are like not fun because you have to work on others people's terms. It's not your and you are responsible for others APIs that doesn't work, that don't work.
And you never know what you're gonna get and what if you're gonna be able to build what you want to anyway. So it's like
and whenever you ask like feedback to your customers, like what tips would you give to people in the way they should phrase it? Like, like direct, indirect questions. Like how do you usually like gather this feedback to make it like super efficient?
I mean, I think for us, when we collect feedback, we want to make giving feedback as easy as possible, right? So just, type what you're thinking. As the company or as a product manager or whatever, it's really our job to like dig into that if we need to, right? Like uncover the insights, really uncover what the root of the problem is. What are they trying to achieve? That kind of stuff. And it's okay for the original, feedback giver to leave some of that out. It's not really their job to give you feedback. It's really a nice thing that they're doing, and so let them, give as much thought as they want to. And then if you need to dig in and do your job, it's really your job. Like Canny does not replace product management. It gives you insight and gives you the tools to dig into that and investigate further. So yeah, I think it's your job. Like figure out what the problems are and solution from there.
Nice. And I was wondering, like, because early on you mentioned a little bit about like how do you segment your existing customers, because you said like, okay, who are you getting like feedback from? So I want to dig in or like get a bit of tips, like when it comes to that. So for you, like, what do you look at whenever you ask like customers feedback? And do you look at like, I don't know, like how many months they've been like paying for the product? How big is their ARPU, like average revenue per user, this type of things? Like, how do you like kind of segment and prioritize based on that?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things that you said, is especially right now for us, since we launched this free plan. There's going to be a lot more interest from free users than there are, because there are just so many more of them. But at the end of the day, again, it's not about the number of votes, it's about who is voting. And so a lot of it, I mean, for right now, we're keeping it pretty simple. Like if they're paying us, great. We pull in opportunity revenue, which I think is huge. So if you have a sales team and, a feature would close a deal, we want to know that, right? And we want to say, okay, if we build XYZ, we would actually, you can literally see how much MRR you might get from building that feature. So that's really nice. But yeah, just like looking at MRR and then how much people pay us. I think I don't dig too much into the nitty-gritty, like how long they've been a customer. I think a lot of it is use case. I really try to look at what are the main use cases behind these feature requests and see if it fits in with our tool moving forward. Because I think a lot about that, like where does Canny fit in the grand scheme of like product management, right? Like I know for a fact, I don't want to build Jira. There's a line there. And so
I'm not going to cross that line.
Exactly. And maybe the line is a little bit fuzzy, between project and product management. It's a little bit gray, but we should have opinions. I think that's one of the big things about Canny is we're trying to build an opinionated tool and not something that is like super flexible. I know there's pros and cons to both sides, but for us, I think being on the opinionated side and saying, you know, this is how you should collect feedback, this is what you should care about, I think that's really important for us.
Oh, it's super smart. It's
yeah. Even as a way to just say, we're gonna build a tool this way and not like have all these toggles and like all these options for people, and really, just show our stamp on how feedback should be handled. Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, time is flying. It's crazy. So we've been discussing like a lot of topics, and I usually like to kind of like wrap up, with three questions.
Yeah.
The first one being like, what's your like the favorite book that you would recommend, or podcast actually that you would recommend to another like bootstrap entrepreneur?
Yeah, this question always gets me because I don't read to improve myself or listen to podcasts to like really improve myself. Like a lot of it for me is like escape from work,
okay.
You know? So, I mean, one thing, if I can plug, is we're launching a podcast in a couple weeks, I think, in a few weeks. We're just basically having like deep chats with
nice.
Like head of products, you know, big like product leaders.
What's the name?
So that's going to be called Product Chats.
All right.
It's going to be, it's casual conversations, but it's really cool. I think like our sales person, Kayla, has gotten some really cool guests. So I'm really excited about that. But otherwise, like for me, like I listen to stuff like Hidden Brain. You know, it's like a podcast about, you know, how the human brain works. And it's not about, do this to, I don't know, start a business. You know, I can't. I need it to escape from reality.
From my terrible day-to-day life. Awesome. And I'll definitely check the podcast.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Basically, like, second question is there any like bootstrap founder that you are following? One in particular?
Yeah, I think the one that comes to mind is Nathan Barry.
From ConvertKit.
ConvertKit. Yeah. I just feel like not only has he built like a humongous bootstrap business, but I think he does it in a very like humble way. And
he's super chilled.
Yeah, it's just like a chill, like he has a farm or something, and he's raising a family at the same time. It just feels like goals, you know? It's like I feel like his writing style also, it's kind of similar to ours, where it's just like sharing stories, just like being a human.
Yeah.
It's like telling people what's going on. And so I really admire that about them. Yeah, about Nathan.
Yeah, I agree. It's really cool. And last questions, like what's the one thing you do to regain energy during tough times?
We adopted a dog during the pandemic. So I love that. Like I was, we're at desks all day. But having a dog really just gets me out of the house, which I love. Nice. When the weather's nice, just run around, be carefree. When I can travel, I traveled for like 2 years straight before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit and was like, nope, you're done. So there's that. And also like making things with my hands. Like I'm a crafty person. So
what's
when I'm
the
not
last
like
thing
on
you
the
did?
computer, I make a lot of stuff for my dog. Like I made her collar and
nice.
Like I made her leash. Like it's really fun. So I love doing that kind of stuff.
Super. Well, Sarah, it was like really like an awesome chat. Learned a lot.
Gee, thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
How can people like follow you and follow your journey?
Yeah. So I'm not super active on Twitter, but I try to tweet like our milestones every once in a while. So at Sarah Hum. Something I'm big on right now is actually my Twitch stream.
Oh, nice.
I do co-working there, and it's really cute because I don't know, I get to like support people who are new in their careers, people who are still in school, stuff like that. And a lot of people have startup questions. So it's really fun. I'm on Twitch at xhumming.
So you do like Twitch, what every time you're working, you put like
3 times a week. I literally just turn the camera on and then we do Pomodoro. So 50 minutes of focus and then 10-minute breaks where we just hang out and chat about things. Check it out. It's kind of fun. Yeah.
That's nice. I will check this out. This is awesome.
Thanks. It's really energizing, honestly, but because I don't get that social feeling right now anyway, with the pandemic still kind of going on. So it's been a really nice thing to connect with people.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, it was a real pleasure having you on the show. Have an awesome day, and let's keep in touch.
You as well. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Bootstrap Stories, the only podcast where bootstrap entrepreneurs share their journey in all transparency. If you enjoyed this episode, don't hesitate to leave us a review. And in case you want to see the interview, all episodes are live on the YouTube channel. Check out the link in the description and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Have an amazing day, and make sure to also join us in our amazing Bootstrap community where we all helped each other to become successful and grow a profitable business. Take care and talk to you soon.